The passage from Chopin's Third Scherzo that I sort of used as an inspiration slash raw material for the new piece that I'm writing, that I wrote about in the article, and that I talk about in the first section of the article. And you can hear sort of the juxtaposition of the chorales and the arpeggios that are also juxtaposed in my piece. I've always really loved this piece, and also simultaneously felt that that people play it wrong in a way that, I don't know, that the kind of combination of those two things inspired me to create something else out of it. I don't know. I mean, I'll often get ideas for new pieces just from sort of sitting around and sight reading or like playing through pieces, not necessarily practicing them. I mean, I wouldn't perform this piece in a formal setting, but just by sort of reading through it and getting ideas of kind of, you know, because when Chopin was writing this was really, you know, this was the style, and it was kind of the cutting edge. I mean, it was very sort of pianistically innovative and kind of pushing piano technique forward. And I think it's interesting that, you know, 150 years later, I can look back on this and say, oh, this piece is still really great, and I have the 150 years in between me and Chopin to kind of pick and choose from as well, and kind of combine and kind of maybe put the kind of things that Chopin was using, kind of materials, the kind of harmonies, the kind of formal techniques, take those and put them in a contemporary context and sort of do things that Chopin would have never imagined, or that would have been, you know, totally unimaginable in that style. And that, sort of creating those kind of thought experiments is often kind of what will provide the initial just kind of little seed or spark for an idea for the beginning of a piece. Well, the middle section is kind of it's kind of two things. It's this kind of very contrapuntal, almost fugue or a canon. I don't know, it has a lot of voices that enter and move independently. And then a kind of response to that that's a little more spare and kind of leads into more of the, it leads into more referential to Chopin material. I wanted something a little more spare that had just kind of long, independent moving lines that were just built monophonically instead of like lots of chords and like dense harmonies and arpeggios. That said, the monophonic voices in the middle section are built on basically the same theme. It's the same kind of isorhythm, the short, long that you get in the opening. And it leads somewhere slightly different. It's a little more chromatic and kind of weaves up and down instead of just going toward the center of the keyboard. Yeah, and then it becomes a little bit more of a standard. The voices sort of come together and start moving in the same rhythm that gets louder, kind of build up more harmony. And then there's this waltzy thing that happens that sounds very it's like a very gentle section, but it's still kind of, I don't know. I like things that are that show some kind of like tension in their musical qualities, like having something be played like really, really quietly by a lot of people. So something that is sort of like a little bit cognitive dissonance, or like something that is very quiet and kind of beautiful, but also is constantly sort of pushing forward and has a lot of harmonic change. Just kind of these qualities that you don't necessarily associate as being used together. So that happens, and it kind of ushers in this chorale theme that comes from the Chopin that I played earlier, and then the resultant kind of crest of that, where it gets really loud, is what ushers in what I think of as the final section. So we can talk about that a little later.